There is a clause buried inside your bank account agreement that your bank hopes you never find. Not because it is illegal. Not because it is hidden in fine print. But because the moment you understand what it actually means, you will never think about your money the same way again. Most people who keep $20,000 in a savings account believe they are being smart. They believe they are safe. They believe the bank is holding their money for them. What they do not know is that the second that money enters the bank, it legally stops being their money. And what the bank does with it next is what nobody ever teaches you in school. Here's what is actually happening. When you deposit money into any commercial bank, you have just made an unsecured loan to that institution. That is not a metaphor. That is the legal reality. You are now a creditor of the bank. The bank owes you that money. And like any borrower, they can use it however they want while it sits there. They take your $20,000 and they lend it out at 7, 10, 12, sometimes 22% interest. You get back 0.5% if you are lucky. The bank pockets the difference. Every single day. Every single year. On your money. Now here is the number that should make you stop scrolling. If a bank lends your $20,000 at 10% interest for 1 year, they collect $2,000 in interest. They pay you back roughly $100. The spread, the gap between what they earn and what they give you, is $1,900. Annually. On your own money. That gap is not an accident. It is the entire business model. But the clause nobody reads goes deeper than that. Most bank account agreements in the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and across West Africa contain language that gives the bank the right to restrict, delay, or in specific circumstances refuse withdrawal of funds. It is called a material adverse change clause or a funds availability policy. Banks are legally permitted to hold large cash amounts for review periods, flag accounts that receive sudden large deposits, and in some cases freeze accounts pending investigation without any criminal charge against you. Your money. Your account. Frozen. While you wait. This is not conspiracy. This happens to regular people every single week. A landlord deposits rent. A small business owner receives a client payment. Someone sells a car and deposits the cash. And suddenly the bank needs 3 to 10 business days to verify funds that are already sitting right there. That delay is not a malfunction. It is a feature. Because while your money sits in review, it is still working for them. Here is the shift that wealthy people made a long time ago and almost nobody else has. They stopped storing wealth and started deploying it. The average person keeps their emergency fund, their savings, their extra income all sitting in a checking or savings account earning effectively nothing. The person building real wealth keeps only what they need for 30 to 60 days of expenses in liquid cash, and every dollar beyond that is put to work somewhere that pays them back. Treasury bills. High-yield accounts with real rates. Index funds. Income-producing assets. The goal is to never let money sit still doing nothing while the bank turns it into profit. Right now, the national average savings account interest rate in America is 0.46%. Inflation in recent years has run between 3 and 8%. That means money sitting in a standard savings account is not just earning nothing. It is losing purchasing power every single month. $20,000 sitting in a regular savings account in 2020 could buy roughly the same as $17,000 can buy today. You did not spend it. You did not gamble it. You just left it in the bank the way everyone told you to. And it shrank anyway. This is what financial literacy actually means. Not knowing how to budget. Not tracking your lattes. Understanding the invisible forces that are constantly transferring wealth from people who do not know these rules to people who do. Now here is what the $20,000 threshold specifically triggers and why banks pay attention to it differently. Under Bank Secrecy Act regulations in the United States, financial institutions are required to file currency transaction reports for cash deposits or withdrawals of $10,000 or more. What most people do not know is that banks also file suspicious activity reports for patterns that suggest someone is intentionally trying to stay below that 10,000 threshold. This is called structuring, and it is taken seriously by regulators even when the money is entirely legitimate. The reason this matters for someone with $20,000 in cash is that depositing it in two separate $9,000 deposits on different days can trigger a SAR flag automatically. You did not do anything wrong. But your account is now under review, and your bank has a legal obligation to report the behavior regardless of the source. The wealthy know this not because they are hiding money. They know it because their accountants and financial advisors explained how to move, store, and grow money without creating friction that costs them time, access, or opportunity. And that single sentence is the entire story of financial inequality in one line. The wealthy have people explaining the rules to them. Everyone else is just playing the game without reading the rulebook. Here's the practical thing you can actually do with this information starting now. First, read the deposit agreement for your bank account. Specifically look for funds availability policy, account suspension rights, and material adverse change language. It takes 15 minutes and it will completely change how you think about where you keep your money. Second, understand the difference between a savings account and a high-yield savings account. In 2024 and into 2025, institutions like Marcus, Ally, Sophie, and several others were offering rates between 4 and 5% on high-yield savings. That is 10 times the national average. On $20,000, the difference is roughly $900 per year for doing absolutely nothing differently except choosing the right account. Third, understand that an emergency fund is a tool with a specific job. It is not a wealth-building account. 3 to 6 months of expenses. Liquid. Accessible. That is the job. Everything above that number should be working harder than a savings account allows. The people who never escape paycheck to paycheck are not failing because they do not earn enough. Most of them are failing because every extra dollar they manage to save gets parked in the exact same place the bank designed for it to sit still while the bank puts it to work and keeps the profits. The clause nobody reads is not just legal language. It is a mirror. It reflects exactly who holds the power in the relationship between you and your bank. And the moment you understand that the bank is not your safekeeping partner but a business using your deposits as raw material to generate profit, you stop asking how to save more money and you start asking how to make your money stop working for someone else and start working for you. That question is where wealth actually begins.